today about the stuff potentially getting rid of walk-ons. What are your thoughts on that? How that will impact things that happen?
That's going to be tied into roster management numbers. So there's a lot of discussion about what those numbers will be. And from what I understand, it's tied into this settlement that's supposed to start a year from now. In that, if we go to 125 players, 115 players, you would essentially have 85 players that would have been on scholarship, and then the additional 30 will be on scholarship. But it would still meet the same criteria as a walk-on, except they're going to be on scholarship. Now, people have asked over the last 4 or 5 months of what I would want roster management numbers to be, or I guess roster limit numbers, I should say. And I don't think it should be less than 115, because I think then there's some risk with injury with players, with not as many players for practice. But I think the most important thing is that it's equal in all of college football. So if the other conference, we shouldn't have one conference at 130, 120, 110, and 115. Well, then it's not the same. So it should be equal across the board. I would think that we're all in agreement there's going to be fewer numbers on the team, which I don't like a lot, because we enjoy our walk-on players, guys that just want to be a part and want to try to prove somebody wrong that you missed them in recruiting. And they love Oklahoma State football. But they're going to knock the wind of those numbers down. And so if let's just throw 115 out there, then we would say normally it'd be 85 and 30, so now it's just going to be 115 scholarship players. Will be an easy transition. I think the helmet communication will be really interesting in how people use it. Our level is much different than the NFL, because the NFL huddles up. They use helmet communication. In most cases, they get to the line of scrimmage, and then the communication's gone. Well, that's not going to be the way it is in college football. In college football, there'll be helmet communication to a player, and then that communication line will still be open until 15 seconds before the ball is snapped, which schools like us and some other schools would be standing at the line of scrimmage for 15 or 20 seconds after the play's called, and there could be communication between the coaches and the quarterback. So it'll be a bigger factor in college football, in my opinion, than the NFL.
Do you want to have a direct line to your quarterback, you specifically? Would you want that?
If everybody else does.
You don't. It could be any game.
We just got into the helmet communication. We didn't go in as deep as what I thought we should have. I thought that we should have taken helmet communication for 5 players on offense and 5 players on defense, which would have eliminated all of the signaling process, in my opinion, or given you a chance to do that as a staff. And if you refuse to, that's your choice. But as it sits now, from what I understand, we have one on both sides of the ball. So that's not going to really change signals coming in from the sideline. But we might evolve that over the next year or two, and I hope that we do, to eliminate what we've gone through the last few years with the talk about people illegally stealing signals. Giving up big plays, and we have to tackle better. We tackled okay. In the middle of the season, we tackled pretty good in the latter part. The early part of the season, we didn't tackle good, and that was my fault, because we didn't practice physical enough. And I knew better than that, but I was concerned about injuries. And so we're going to eliminate that problem this August.
And then there's been a lot of talk of 3 down, 4 down. Do you want to do it 50-50? Do you want to stick more 3 down?
I don't know, 50-50. A lot of that would determine who we're playing. There's been a lot of talk about it. It's been probably blown out of proportion, but I asked our defensive staff to be able to play some 3 down and some 4 down on first and second down, not just third down. Most teams on third and medium to long and extra long are going to be in a 3 down front. But on first and second down, I want to be able to be versatile and play some 4 down and some 3 down. I'm not sure at this point if we can do that. We worked on it in spring, and I like what we saw, but we haven't arrived anywhere near that area yet. So I have to watch us up to the first 2 weeks in August to determine whether we're good enough at some 4 down and 3 down on a normal down and distance situation.
Is some of that personnel based too? I imagine you want to get
Sure.
on the edge.
It is. It gives you more flexibility. The issue with being a 3 down or a 4 down is you eliminate a defensive lineman or you eliminate a safety or a backer, whatever your choice is. So it gives you a little more flexibility. The disadvantage could be if you're trying to do too much and you're not good at anything. So that's the decisions that we'll have to make in the first 2 weeks of fall practice. Every position that we have, they have to, again, come on. Coach has got to do a good job of getting ready to play, all the things that are coach talk that are true. But we don't really have a position on our team that I'm not comfortable with based on as many players as we have returning.
Big plays. Big pass plays.
We had our eyes in the wrong place, and it cost us in crucial times that there's a lot of plays in a football game. You got about 75 to 80 on offense for both teams, and then you have about 28 to 35 on special teams. But in most cases, there'll be 8 or 10 plays in that game that determine the game. The statistics and the analytics side of that's crazy. Last year, when we got ourselves in trouble on defense, we might have played really good for 65 plays, and we had 10 bad plays, and 5 of those 10 cost us points. And those are the things that we need to move away from this fall.
Like running back, any early impressions of those guys, or you really see them much?
They've done a really good job in off season. The other players speak very highly of them. The strength coaches speak very highly of them. And during the June training, our coaches really liked them. I saw very little of them. We don't video the summer workouts, so I haven't seen any of that. I did see a little bit of it, but the majority of my time was spent in administrative meetings trying to raise money over those months. But I do know that our people feel really good about those guys. They feel like the wideouts can. We're going to have a business side of Oklahoma State football that will handle and work daily to put ourselves in a position to move forward. Because if you sit back right now, just like what the commissioner says, if we sit back and watch, we're going to get run over. And it's the same thing with us at Oklahoma State University. If we're not being innovative and doing research and trying to find out what's out there, how to handle this side of it, we're going to get left behind. Because it's just not a matter of revenue sharing, taking revenue and spreading it out. That's not the way it works. It's a much bigger picture. Kenyatta's got great experience with this. He's 7 years in the NFL. He was very involved and highly respected in the NFL's Player Association. And essentially what we're doing now is exactly what they're doing. We just haven't got there, but we're heading that direction. So it's important that we have him, and he works directly with me every day. And he can take all that off my plate.
Format where the 4 teams get a bye, is that too much of an advantage for, I guess, a conference champion? Also, do you worry about how many teams from the Big 12 will actually make the college football playoff?
I'm not worried about teams from the Big 12 making it. I have confidence that we'll have teams that'll make it. If a conference champion gets a bye, I'm okay with that because there should be a reward for winning your conference championship. That's my opinion. Now, to predetermine buys before we start the season, to me is crazy. Why would we predetermine a team that gets, or a team from a certain league to get a bye before the season even starts? Why we need to play the games to do that? So that's crazy in my opinion. And if those particular teams are the best teams, they don't need a bye. They're going to be fine. So there needs to be equality. It needs to be equal in the way it's set up. And then play it out. See, our level of college football